Luna's voice echoed in Jin's mind, clear and majestic. Look with your mind's eye. For those who live to sharpen their blades, possessing the mind's eye is more important than anything. Do not open your eyes. In the dim training space, Jin stood motionless, his eyes tightly shut, his mind filled with conflicting thoughts. The mind's eye is a realm only knights above 7 stars can reach, yet she's teaching it to me, someone who just reached 2 stars? Not only that, the mind's eye is usually acquired by dispersing aura around, but during Luna's training, I can't use aura, so I can't grasp it. Doubt crept into his mind, but then Jin clenched his fists, shaking off the uncertainties. No, I've decided to trust her. She surely has her reasons. Focus on the training. I'm sure I'll understand this exercise one day. The training session ended. Luna gently placed a hand on Jin's shoulder, who was tiredly rubbing his neck, her voice soft. You did very well today, Jin. You can go back now. Thank you, Luna, Jin replied before turning his back and walking away. Luna quietly watched her brother's retreating figure, a satisfied smile fleeting across her lips. Just as expected. I knew he would do well, but he always exceeds my expectations. He shows a focus and comprehension rarely seen in a 2-star knight. With his potential, I'm sure he'll be able to understand it in a few more years. Keep growing like this, my dear brother Jin.
On the training ground, the atmosphere was unusually tense. Under the faint sunlight of a winter day, long rows of low-ranking student knights in blue uniforms stood solemnly, their faces clearly showing apprehension. Observing from above, Jin remarked, "They look quite tense." Garen Altermere, standing beside him, offered a warm, squinty-eyed smile. They have every right to be. This match accounts for a significant portion of their final grades. A good score is a shortcut to becoming a Guardian Knight, so I'm sure they're all worried. By the way, young master, today is also a very important day for you. Jin slightly raised an eyebrow, showing curiosity. Garen lowered his voice. Madame Rosa said that if you defeat 10 senior students today, you will be permitted to advance to the intermediate training class at the beginning of next year. My mother? That's good news, Jin replied, a spark of satisfaction gleaming in his cerulean eyes. Suddenly, his gaze stopped at a familiar figure in the crowd. Bellop's at it again, he thought, looking at his fellow student with golden blonde hair, trembling, clutching himself tightly, his face showing extreme fright. Jin sighed softly. I'll find a way to keep him from getting expelled, but he needs to be more confident. Just then, Garen's voice boomed across the training ground, cutting off Jin's thoughts. Attention! Today, you will engage in 3 practice matches, switching opponents each time. The 10 most outstanding winners will then face young Master Jin in turn. Yes, coach? All the students responded in unison, their shouts echoing in the quiet space. Immediately, the matches began. The sharp clatter of wood resounded as the sparring pairs charged at each other. Jin stood with his arms crossed, his keen eyes assessing each movement. Not bad, he thought, as he watched a female student quickly defeat her opponent. They didn't get their student status for nothing.
Garen Altermere authoritatively ordered the Squire Knights. All right, those not chosen, return to your positions. Hearing the command, the crowd quickly dispersed. Garen then turned to Jin, his gaze stern. Prepare yourself, youngest master. Yes, master, Jin replied curtly, his hand tightening on the wooden sword hilt. He quickly defeated the first opponent. A powerful sword swing shattered the opponent's shield, ending the match in an instant. 10 people, Jin thought to himself, his gaze resolute. My personal record is 8, so I only need to win against 2 more. And to do that, the person I need to be most wary of is... Next one, prepare. Garen's voice rang out, cutting through Jin's thoughts. From the ranks, Mesa Milkano stepped out, her pink hair prominent on the arena. She was an elite swordswoman, one who would surely become an official Guardian Knight after passing all future training. She bowed slightly, a challenging smile on her lips. I look forward to your guidance, young master. Today, no matter what, I want to defeat you. The match with Mesa was the most crucial part of this test. Jin smirked. All right, I've been looking forward to this too. Instantly, both charged at each other. The clash of metal echoed piercingly as 2 wooden swords struck each other, red sparks flying. The force of the impact made both recoil. Jin quickly analyzed the situation. Mesa, he's stronger than before, but not to the point I can't win. The problem is I still have to defeat 8 more people after her. In that case, he gritted his teeth, poured strength into his arm, and unleashed a powerful sword parry, knocking Mesa's weapon aside.
The clattering of wooden swords echoed loudly, ceaselessly, like a surging melody on the training ground. Jin Runcandle stood firm as a rock, the sword in his hand moving with minimalist yet astonishingly effective speed, easily deflecting all of his opponent's furious strikes. The pink-haired girl, sweat already beading on her forehead, grew increasingly flustered. Her mind was filled with unanswerable questions. Why? Why does he only use such simple attacks when he's displayed all kinds of techniques before? He's definitely doing this on purpose, but why? Suddenly, a thought flashed in her mind, making her eyes widen in surprise. A feeling of humiliation surged, replacing her bewilderment. No way. Is he looking down on me, thinking I can't defeat him today either? As if to confirm her suspicion, a confident and somewhat challenging smile appeared on Jin's lips. He suddenly counterattacked, his sword drawing a sharp curve in the air. Her anger erupted, transforming into power. The girl gripped the hilt of her greatsword tightly, her eyes burning with determination. "Fine, let's see, young master," she roared, pouring all her strength into lunging forward, her powerful momentum astonishing onlookers. The swords clashed fiercely again, but this time the dynamic had changed. She was no longer defending passively. "I won't be pushed back again. This time I'll overcome the young master." With a sky-shattering yell, she raised her greatsword high above her head, her entire body enveloped in a radiant crimson aura. Ah! She swung her sword down with all her might, a finishing blow carrying her complete pride and indignation.
The final jarring clash rang out as the two wooden swords struck each other with terrifying force. A dry crack echoed, and in an instant, Mesa Milkano's sword snapped in two. She stood frozen, her ruby eyes wide, unable to believe what had just happened. Her breath came in gasps, her pink hair fluttering slightly with each panicked beat of her heart. "How?" she stammered, the broken sword in her hand suddenly feeling heavy. Opposite her, Jin Runcandle stood firm, his expression unusually calm, a slight smirk on his lips. He lowered his sword, his clear blue eyes unruffled. "It was a good match, Mesa Milkano," Jin said, his voice composed. Then he glanced at his wooden sword, its tip also chipped, and casually tossed it aside. "Anyway, this is useless now." Mesa's shock quickly transformed into a surging torrent of thought. No way! Did he attack the exact same spot on my sword with every single clash? She looked down at the clean break on her weapon. Our stamina and strength are comparable, but I lost in terms of precision and endurance. Could something like this really happen? Admiration gradually replaced her astonishment, truly worthy of a Runcandle descendant. Regaining her composure, Mesa lifted her head, her eyes completely devoid of weakness. "Young master," she called, her voice firm. A fire of determination blazed in her eyes. "I will train diligently, and next time I will certainly defeat you. I cannot keep losing like this." Her declaration of war echoed in the silent air. But deep in her mind, another thought surfaced for Mesa as she looked up at the main family building under the clear blue sky. Everything is going according to plan. Meanwhile, Jin was also lost in his own calculations. He recalled his other opponents, and a keen realization formed in his mind. With my current strength, it's difficult to directly confront all 10 apprentices. After a powerful sword swing, the 10th opponent fell. Jin stood there, in the vast training ground, his breathing steady. Mesa's wooden sword lay scattered on the stone ground. "With an overwhelming victory against Mesa, I've made them misunderstand that they'll lose in a direct confrontation," Jin mused, a flicker of satisfaction crossing his azure eyes. "That makes 10. Thank God, everything went according to plan." Garen Altamir approached, a radiant, crinkling smile on his face. He lightly patted Jin's shoulder, his voice full of excitement. "Excellent, young master. With this achievement, starting next year, you will be trained by a true Runcandle in the mid-tier group. My congratulations in advance." Jin nodded slightly, responding politely. "Thank you, Garen. I'll still be relying on your care until then." Garen happily replied, "It's almost mealtime now, so let's end the morning practice here." As the two strode across the training ground, Jin suddenly stopped, his gaze distant. How much longer until it ends?" "About 10 more minutes. Why do you ask?" Garen inquired. Jin's eyes swept over the group of trainees huddled in a corner, all bruised and bandaged. He said with a determined tone, "I want to face one more person." Jin bent down and picked up a wooden sword. "Who?" Garen asked. Jin spun around, a smile so excited it was almost wild blooming on his lips. He shouted, "Bellop Schmetz!" Amidst the crowd, Bellop flinched, his face paling. He stammered, trembling as he pointed at himself. "Young master? Me?" Garen calmly gestured. "Go on, let's have a match." But Bellop looked as if he was about to cry, his hands wrung together in extreme panic. "Bellop Schmitz!" Jin growled, his shout echoing throughout the training ground, allowing no refusal. Under the clear blue sky, Jin Runkendall stood tall, holding a wooden sword pointed straight ahead, his cold gaze fixed on Bellop. Bellop Schmitz looked up, his face dazed and panicked upon hearing the cruel words of judgment. Jin's voice was both challenging and encouraging to Bellop. "In this state, you won't survive in Runkendall. Step up and fight me. I'll crush you."